Dead Space in 2023 is a remake of the 2008 version of the game. When it was first released back in 2008, it had received generally positive reviews, but it did not explode in sales upon release. It was only after 4 months that it had sold over 1 million copies worldwide. With Motive Studio developing the remake, I needed to know if this remake is as good as people say it is. Lighting. I think a lot of gamers underestimate the power of lighting. When you've opened that door to Limgrave and you see that glorious bright golden tree in the background, that's thanks to lighting. Or how about when you're roaming around the dark streets of New Mombasa and you see the bright neon lights within the abandoned city? Again, that's thanks to lighting. The power of lighting has quite a huge impact on the game. Without it, then you would just be looking at your monitor turned off. In Dead Space, there's a couple of sections where you can turn off the lights. And when you do that, oh boy, it does turn off the lights. They really meant that when you hit that switch, you will not see anything. Plus, you got these zombie aliens in the room with you, which equals, yep, I'm gonna get fucking murdered in here. And I thought, it can't be that bad to turn off the lights. There's a few lights in here, I got this. Boy, was I wrong. I was fighting for my life with those things stabbing me in the dark. I actually didn't think about how important lighting is for games. Obviously, you do need it to see the environment, but it can really set up the mood and atmosphere of where you are in the game, especially when it comes to horror games. When I turn off those lights, my tension increased tenfold. Okay, maybe not that high, but I was on high alert to make sure that I wouldn't get killed. The same thing for when the alarm light starts flashing. It's interesting how changing the lighting can trigger these feelings of it's time to panic. But lighting isn't the only thing. You gotta have a good environment to set up the formula for horror. That is where this giant spaceship comes in. Walking around the wrecked USG Ishimura filled with the alien zombies that the game calls Necromorphs always made me feel like there was someone watching me from behind. It's that scary feeling of something somewhere is gonna jump out from that vent to murder you. And we're not talking about an imposter here. I guess this is like Among Us, but with zombie aliens chasing you down as if you're wanted in GTA. The devs really did some work to make you feel like you are not safe on the ship, no matter where you are. There are a few safe zones in the game, but those Necromorphs can still access those areas, only if you haven't killed them already. They can even attack you while you're browsing the in-game store, which is why I always check my corners, as my man Captain Price said.
Check those corners.
I learned from one of the best. Every area you explore in this ship always feels like there should be someone there, and yet is either empty or gonna be filled with Necromorphs. From the claustrophobic rooms or hallways to the huge spaces within the ship, I would always be cautious of anything waiting around to give me a hug of love. Like, dude, have you not learned from COVID? We need to be at least 1 meter's distance away from each other. Not that they give a damn because they're already dead. Even though I've already played about 70% of the original game, I thought that I wouldn't get scared here because I'm a pro horror gamer. Yeah, let's not talk about that moment. Not every area is finding out if you're gonna get swarmed with enemies or not. Some of these areas will challenge your puzzle solving skills. You have various tasks to repair bits of the ship that the Necromorphs somehow conveniently destroyed. These puzzles aren't exactly hard in my opinion, but I can see how some people might take a bit long to figure out a way to solve the problem. Unlike a specific game with protocol in the title, the puzzles here have variations to them, and it's not just one same thing every time. The deformed corpses running around out to kill you or anyone else's ass around here always creeped me out whenever I got close to them. Like, from afar, they are totally fine, it's just another zombie. Up close though, it's a oh hell no! You do not want to be in close proximity with these things on any day. The other variations of Necromorphs are also on the same levels of back away from me in the name of whatever god you believe in. At least they are all challenging and unique in some way that will make you think about the best way to delete them. Also, it's not just copy and paste of the same enemy but with a different paint job. This is when you can use Dead Space's futuristic weapons. The weapons here are quite addicting to use. The iconic plasma cutter is your futuristic pistol to accurately cut off the limbs of your enemies. Then you have the contact beam, which is a straight up mini nuke so that you don't need to take your time aiming at their body parts and worrying about the next guy behind you. The fact that the majority of these weapons aren't even guns is kinda interesting. These are just mining equipment, because why would a ship whose sole purpose is mining have any weapons? Each of these weapons I obtained made me want to play with it and see how it can save my life against these Necromorphs, until I eventually find the store to put them away, because I don't have an unlimited storage space to hold weapons, ammo and medkits. I gotta be optimal here, man. The limited storage space will screw you over if you're holding every weapon you come across. Plus, putting one of the weapons away will tell the game to not give you ammo of that weapon. Really good for people like me playing on the hardest difficulty, and I only need ammo for the weapons I use. Thank God they designed the game like that.
Obviously, when you get deeper into a game like this, you'll face stronger enemies, and that's when you gotta upgrade your weapons. Using the nodes that you find around the ship, you can make various changes to these weapons that will help you no matter what. From increasing the clip size to changing the firing rate, all of them will make you enjoy using the weapon even more. Although if you're like me, playing on the highest difficulty, choosing which upgrade I desperately need was a matter of life and death, because I only have one chance to survive the horrors of the ship. I actually booted the game in impossible mode, which basically makes you have one life, and it has the same difficulty as hard mode. However, when you die, the game sets you back to a lower difficulty. Seeing that I'm a pro gamer that can solo Millennia, I totally did not complete the game in impossible mode. I freaking died by the most dumbest thing. Some may call it a skill issue, but I would like to call it a... Okay, what am I saying? It was a skill issue. I'll take the L. Combat here is a mix of, yeah, screw you guys, you can't touch me, I can slow you down and destroy you, to, oh, I do not like this. It can be a bit strategic at times as well, which is pretty interesting coming from a game that's meant to be for horror. Whenever I got into a new room or when I'm in combat, my gamer brain turns on and starts thinking, okay, there's a bomb there. That'll be useful for when I need it. Or I can use the enemy's spike and throw it at them. I find combat like this very fun. It's not just how many bullets I can use to kill this thing, it's what other things I can possibly do to save ammo for the next fights. For those that want to know about the story of Dead Space, it's about this gigantic ship known as the USG Ishimura, and it has the ability to mine planets. You see, humanity reached a point where we were running out of resources, so we made ships like this. The ship randomly stopped working and sent a distress signal, which is where we come in. Isaac Clarke, the guy you control, along with other people, are sent in to check out the ship. Clarke's girlfriend is also on the ship, so we definitely need to go find our wife. That is until we end up being in the same mess as the people on the ship. This isn't just your typical zombie infection story as well. It's got a bit more depth to it that makes it more unique in terms of horror stories, in my opinion. I'd say it's a good story. Without spoiling too much, there's one particular bit in the story that I really liked, and it's got something to do with an escape pod. Dead Space players will know exactly what I'm talking about. Isaac's voice kinda threw me off because I'm too used to Isaac's voice in Dead Space 2, and he doesn't speak in the 2008 version of the game. But it's not too bad. It didn't really add or break anything in terms of the story, I think. I would like to hear other people's thoughts about Isaac's voice that didn't play the original. So if you're out there, drop it down in the comments below. The game does a great job to immerse a player into the story and setting of the game. I've already mentioned the lights being a factor for setting the atmosphere of the environment, but the fact that the user interface is cleverly hidden away from the player really helps to plunge them into this sci-fi world. For example, the most important health meter is clearly shown on the back of the character instead of hovering somewhere around on the screen. If they had placed it on the screen, I guess they would have broken the immersive experience, and it would definitely make the game feel like any other game. It's such a distinctive feature to have on a character, to the point of, if I see any game character with their health meter on the back, then I would have to guess that they were most probably inspired by this game. If you've played the original Dead Space and you're wondering if you should get this one, I would say it's worth it. The devs were able to keep the horror of the ship and enhance it even more with updated graphics and sounds. The zero gravity zones have been reworked to how it's played in Dead Space 2, so that you can freely float around rather than pointing where to land. There's also some quality of life changes in here as well, like the assault rifle's special firing button is a mine instead of a weird move that makes you look like you're a water sprinkler. This isn't just swapping out the graphics for shinier ones. This is a remake that you are missing out on. In the end, I can definitely recommend this game to someone that is either a fan of horror games or someone that wants to jump into one. I believe that it has everything that an action horror game needs.
gorgeous graphics and sounds to intensify the eerily atmosphere that the game originally had. The hideous zombie aliens would keep you on your toes as you run around the ruined ship, and the gruesome story to make the horror experience come together and make it whole. Thank you to anyone that has reached this far in the video. Again, this is the type of content that I enjoy doing. So if you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this, and I shall see you guys later.